Hi, welcome to Luxury Living Team Live this afternoon. If you wondered about the introduction, it's because in honor of my special guest today, who happens to have as a passion race car driving. She's tough to keep up with. She's in the top 500 or acknowledged by Forbes as, let me get this quote correct, top 500 in the country, the 2020 market leader. She was featured recently. And secret between us, but I guess it won't be secret. She likes to drive like 160 miles an hour in Maserati. So I had to custom this video for her. That's for Judy. Welcome, Judy.
Thank you, Susanna. Wow, I have to tell you, first of all, that video, what an intro. I love that. Thank you very much. It's so nice to see you again. And you said it's probably like a year to the day. I am humbled that you asked me here today, and I really appreciate that. And I'm happy to impart any knowledge that I can for you and your viewers.
Well, I really appreciate that. And to give you folks a little background, Judy and I met just almost literally a year ago at a luxury conference in Connecticut. We're members of the same institute, Luxury Institute, and I immediately felt a kinship with her, and I understand why. You know, she comes from the heart. I found out afterwards that she's also an artist and she really, really takes care of her clients. She puts people first. And if you don't follow her on Facebook, follow her on Facebook because she is super positive. I love every day I get a positive motivational tip from Judy that just makes my day. But on the real estate side, you know, the more technical side, she is a top luxury agent. And I thought, especially in our area where right now we're shut down, people are hungry for information. I know a lot of the clients that I talk to, they want to know what's going on. I want to know what's going on. And I've been spending, usually I do a lot of market updates, but I've been a little bit radio silent because I've been watching and studying and listening like the surfer on the shore, watching the waves and the different, I was thinking this morning, it's like the phrase for the market now is it's complicated, right?
It's you know what I coined in one of the articles, and you know I write for one of the newspapers. I write about real estate for one of the newspapers, and I wrote, and people have quoted this. It's business as usual for us. It's business as usual, just not so much in the usual manner.
Not so much what?
In the usual manner.
That's very well put.
As usual, but not so much in the usual manner.
Yeah, and I know there's so much I want to talk to you about, but since we're starting there, I want to also mention New York Times recently interviewed Judy for her take on how COVID is affecting the luxury market. So I'm going to give you guys an inside scoop to hear from the source what her thoughts are, and also just to let you know, she's based in Connecticut, which could be considered sort of well, it has its own charm, of course, but you do also have a lot of, it's the suburbs of New York, you might say, you know, some of the areas there.
Right. And so I'm based out of Westport. Westport it's about an hour by train. It's less than an hour by train to Manhattan. So we have people that commute back and forth. We also, Westport was actually one of the little center hubs of the virus. So we were like a little ground zero for Connecticut. You may have heard that Connecticut had an outbreak really in Fairfield County, which is where we are. Westport was pretty much the circle of that.
Oh my, no, I didn't know that. I'm sorry.
Okay, well, yeah. It's okay. So we're okay. I do know people from our office, from close to our office, and I just wish everybody to be safe and happy and well and stay home and be cool, and there you go. So with regards to COVID, so first of all, so when the New York Times called me, they asked how were we handling it, and that was pretty much the very beginning of COVID, and here's what we were doing then, and here's what we continue to do now. It's gloves, booties, and face masks. And there are some sellers and since we are deemed essential in Connecticut, we're still able to go. However, there are a number of sellers that are afraid to have anybody at their house. there are still a number of buyers that do not want anybody in their house. And there are also a number of agents that are afraid to go out and very uncomfortable to go out. And remember, it's not about you keeping you healthy. It's about making sure that everybody else is around you is healthy too. So you could be a carrier and not know it. And if you don't have the proper protection on, you could get somebody else sick. And you really need to think about that wherever you're going, whether you're going to the supermarket, whether you're going to the gas station, whether you're going out looking at houses. Just be mindful of others. And if everybody would be cognizant of that fact and really pay attention to that, things would be a lot safer for everybody. So the New York Times asked me about what kind of protections. So obviously the PPE, definitely we still do that. As a matter of fact, a few minutes ago, I just dropped off another grouping of booties from one of my clients. So they had that at their house. I actually have individually wrapped gloves for anybody to come in, so they don't even have to touch any other glove. It's individually wrapped, and they open up the package, and that's how they can go through the house. So, but one of the other things, we have different disclaimers and acknowledgments. So as you go into a house, you're stating that you have not been diagnosed, you don't know anybody that has been diagnosed, and these all have to be signed and delivered to a listing agent prior to entering the home. There's no more than who is absolutely necessary to view the home, so you're not bringing your kids in there. Maybe you bring it's the one agent and possibly one buyer, maybe two, but never any more than that. And that's pretty much how showings have been going. The appraisals, they are doing drive-by. They are doing desktop appraisals. Have you heard of those?
Yes.
Right. So the appraisers aren't going in, and that's okay. Our market, we've got a lot of shadow inventory at this point. And for anybody that doesn't know what shadow inventory, those are homes that were on the market. They're technically still available, but they're not available. And what that is, these are the sellers that withdrew their home from the market. They put their home temporarily off the market, or they canceled the listing altogether during this. That's all shadow inventory. But our MLS and all of the major aggregator sites do not show any of that, right? So our inventory is very slight, as inventory is in a lot of towns. Is it low where you are as well?
It is. It's very low, and we have the same situation. In fact, with my buyers, what I've been doing is including temporarily off market and also withdrawn and expires, like going back 3 months, because I'm assuming, I do dig deeper when I'm acting as detective and matchmaker for my buyers, but at the very least, looking at that nervous period where people, including some of my sellers, said, I don't want anybody in my house. I want you to withdraw it.
Right.
People went to having quiet listings. So if I have a buyer looking for a particular, especially those micro markets where there's nothing available, that's when I dig into those and consider that almost as part of my active. And then I'll contact the agent. And, if it's a match, as we were talking before before we went live.
Agents that would do something like that. A lot of agents don't go that extra mile. There's some admiration here, if you can't tell, right?
Mutual. I should have said, Judy is a broker. She had her own company. She's been in the business since the 80s, although you would think that she was 10 years old when she started, if that's the case. But the experience and the knowledge and the high level of professionalism and ethics, they're not just a tagline. That is definitely evident in your approach to working with people, as well as your years of success.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So we have the shadow inventory, but that's not what most people are looking at. That's not what people are looking at, or the buyers are looking at on the aggregator sites. And if you look at some of the data and statistics, there are more buyers out. These real estate sites are booming. They are busier than they have been because people are looking right now when they're waiting for things to kind of calm down a little bit. And we're all going to get hit. You know that. We're all going to get hit. The market is going to boom as soon as this opens up.
Interesting. So I have a question for you. Are you, where you live, are they doing virtual tours or virtual? I mean, you weren't locked down like we are. We were joking, like, I feel like I'm a realtor and orange is the new black. This is my little isolation cell, I try to make it, decorate it, I'm decorating my cell, but, we're just learning how to do, effective open houses virtually, and I anticipate that this is going to become the new norm, because of the nervousness you described, that even when things open up, if we can do a virtual tour first, before somebody takes that effort to walk through a home, I think both buyer and seller would be more comfortable to be able to do a virtual tour, a real, not a slideshow, but, a walkthrough.
As long as it's done well.
Yes.
That's the key. So what we're doing the virtual tours, and we can do that through our MLS. We also do virtual broker tours. And I did one a couple weeks ago for one of my listings. It was a virtual tour. What I did is I went Facebook Live and I did my tour 3 times at 10 o'clock in the morning, 10:20, and 10:40. And I actually walked through the house and sold the house 3 different times. And I started at that. And that was just for brokers. And while we normally would have maybe 20 to maybe 25 brokers attend a broker's inspection, I had over 220 people look at those videos.
Wow.
And that was great.
Amazing.
So not only, it was wonderful. So if anybody needs it, I have that. It's already done. But these virtual tours, first of all, if you're going to show me pictures and talk me through the pictures, that's not a virtual tour. You're talking me through pictures. You're going to do it professionally, do it the right way, okay? And walk through and have somebody film you, or even if you go on your phone and just walk around like this, and just make sure you hold the phone steady, like you've done this before, right? And it is very easy, but you just have to be comfortable to do it. And it is the new norm. We're not going back to where we were. We're not ever going back. The technology has always been here. We just haven't ever utilized it. And now that we see that it's really time saving to utilize it, this is now going to be part of the new norm. There are going to be people that are not going to be comfortable with it. For them, it's always going to be in-house, but there are going to be a lot of people that want to do it this way. So we have to work with how our buyers and sellers and our clients want us to work.
One of the awkward things here right now is, with the restrictions, I have, for instance, a couple of listings where I did not get them on the market before the shutdown. So I did not have a chance to have a photographer or professional video, and I can't go in the property. So it's really breaks my heart, because I have to ask the seller to do what's really part of my job, have the seller go and coach them with their phone to go through and I'll do my little magic video editing and try and make the best of it. But, it's difficult for everyone. And so we look forward to when, yes, I can go out to the property and do the virtual tour.
Do you have any time for reopening or anything at all?
In Pennsylvania, we're one of the last states to reopen. Some of the counties have in the greater Philadelphia area, which covers Center City and the main line. That's Montgomery County. We are the last, probably, which may be mid-June. So we're still grounded for a little while, like a bunch of teenagers.
It's very safe. I think it's very, very safe. I am concerned that some of the towns and cities, especially even in our area, are opening up too soon. We don't want to go through this again. I would rather give it an extra couple of weeks or a month or so just to make sure we're okay, and then we can go back out. So I think your area, you're doing everything the right way and being very smart about it.
Oh, well, we don't have a choice, so I appreciate that. But, it does cause us to be creative.
Well, you are super creative. You are super creative. I love it. Love it.
Thank you so much. So touching on what you were talking about, what reality is going to look like post-COVID. And first of all, I just kind of want to quantify, a lot of times when this started, we sort of felt like, oh, okay, once the green light comes back, sort of some people felt, once we can go back out, it'll be back to normal. All of the indications are this virus will be around for a year or two before we're like truly clear of risk. So, there's going to be just, for me, following the market is almost like following the virus. There's so many different, like we talk about micro markets, like just how the virus flares up in certain areas. When somebody asks me about the market, I tell them it's quantum physics, it's multiple realities. You have some areas where, it's just inconvenient. The market values are probably going to be protected. And you have other people who are going to be devastated because of unemployment and economic challenges. But post-COVID, we were talking a little bit before the call when we were talking privately about some of the trends that we're seeing in the luxury market in terms of what buyers want, not only the process of buying, which, appreciate you touching on that, but the shift in perception, in terms of location. I think we're both seeing some movement from Manhattan towards suburbs, but also some of the home features that people are looking for. Could you give us some feedback on terms of from your perspective, what you're seeing?
Oh, I can already tell you there's a few things. One of the most important things is an office that is not within the midst of the house, something that's a little off on the side. So the kids could play in one area, or you could be doing something in one area and the office is separated. That's going to be really important. I've already seen that it's important. Believe it or not, everybody's asking for pools now. It used to be a detriment.
Exactly.
A detriment. And here's what I think, that they don't want to go to a public pool anymore. They don't want to go to the beach. So we're all being conditioned to be safe and to be a little bit more private. The fact is, the people that are coming in from New York, they are coming in from very small apartments and going out to the suburbs. What they've learned already is that they don't need to be in New York City, and they don't want to be cooped up there should this ever happen again, right? They don't want to be cooped up. And they're close enough, and we have enough of an artsy community, and we're close enough to the city that they can go back anytime. So the pool, they do want the space, but they don't want too much space. They don't want too much land because they're not accustomed to that. So, the 3-acre lot, that may not be as good as the 1 acre or the ½ acre. And the in-town location, I think, is probably more of a premium right now. Our market is actually strong. We're actually doing very well. And the rental market, that's another thing. Our rental market is off the charts. It's absolutely off the charts. And in my town, the first selectman actually put in a mandate that there's no rentals less than 31 days. Because we have weekly rentals. We have one particular rental. Our highest price monthly rental is $75,000.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, that's 7,500 square foot home. Okay. But other than that, some of the better ones are, we have some for 40 and 30,000. But the average rental is around 7,000. But here's what has happened. This is a true story. I showed a home where there was a tenant, and it was at one of these home staging companies placed the tenant in the property. And I showed the home for sale. Fine. When I left my card, the tenant actually knew me. And she called me and she said that the home staging company was kicking her out because somebody from New York was going to pay double what she was paying.
Wow.
So now the rental market has skyrocketed and everybody's looking for rentals. So that's another thing. And I think that's it's not necessarily only a temporary thing. I think they're just going in to just check out the general neighborhood before they actually end up buying. But the home office, very important. Proximity to the train. And that's also important because these people, some of them don't even try from New York.
Yeah, we see that same trend in the main line. People want a home and they want the grass. They don't want the huge estate that you have to drive somewhere to get to. They'd like to be able to walk to shopping and restaurants and have that mix of kind of, not to be suburban, but still be able to enjoy the amenities that are available in the community. And they know it's more of a laid back community, but still they don't want to feel that isolated,
And the houses have to show picture perfect. I think people are just too accustomed to seeing HGTV and how these houses look so beautiful. And by the way, I was on HGTV.
I want to hear about that.
Another time. Another time I'll tell you about that. But it really is, it's a really well put together show, but it's not reality at all. It's not.
Entertainment, absolutely.
It is. It's absolutely entertainment. But the buyers, and especially the millennials, they don't have the skill set to do any of these things. They don't to really be, they're not ready to, get in and maybe change the filter. They don't even know how to change the filter on a furnace. Okay. So they want everything all done. And even if the house looks pristine and it has everything, it looks beautiful, it's very well maintained. The other concern is, what does it look like? What is the furniture? Because they're coming in, and if it's not beautifully furnished, they don't imagine themselves there. It's harder to do it. And it's not harder for us as agents. Well, it is. It's a different type of challenge to explain that this is staged and you're going to put your own furniture in there as well. And yes, this is in the luxury market, okay? But still, the home has to show very well. And you got to pay very special attention to that. And at this point, from here on out, every single one of my listings will have Matterport. Every single one of them. I have shied away from that for a long time. Not ever again. Every single one. Every single one. And I do all kinds of different marketing, but I think the Matterport at this point, we're ready.
It's the foundation, and and you're right. They're different tools for different purposes,
Right.
And you have your videos for marketing and sizzle, the photos to show the property, and then things like Matterport have the floor plans and the virtual walkthrough.
That's right.
And they each serve a different purpose, but absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's been hard sometimes for people to understand when, prior to this anyway, when talking to sellers, for instance, a home where there's 1.8 or 2 million on the main line, and it actually needs updating, and it's like it's not so much the money as the inconvenience,
Well, this absolutely. There was, in 2005, I wrote a book about the art of buying or selling a home in Connecticut, or Connecticut real estate, and talked about how sellers should repair or should do some cosmetic changes. Because when you do it, let's say it's a $10,000 change, a $10 cost for the seller. The buyer walks in and says, okay, that's a $10,000 cost, but they seem to double it in their head. It's the inconvenience. It's the nuisance factor. It's the aggravation factor. So if the seller pays $10,000 to do it, the buyer wants $20K off. That's it. They're going to want a lot more because they have to be inconvenienced by the whole process. That's another reason why it's important to get that done beforehand.
And I think with COVID fears, it's so capricious how things are shut down and released. Think about it. If you're having to work from home, school your kids from home, and you have a home renovation project going on, and then all of a sudden it's shut down and everybody has to be home. I have friends and coworkers who were empty nesters, and now the 3 college kids are home, and husband and wife are working from home, and you need 5 home offices. So if you're in the middle of a situation, because we will have some fluctuations with this virus moving forward, and people understand that. In a normal market, they don't want to deal with it, but especially now, what we've been through, I think that's very scary. I just want to put out.
We've also learned about that office, the importance of the office being away. That's really, really important. Don't underestimate that. So even if the home is not, if there's a room not utilized that way,
right?
Create it.
And a lot of times, from staging standpoint, that can be maybe you have a bedroom home, and this was advice I was giving out prior to the virus, people are not looking for 8-bedroom homes. But if they're looking for a 3 or 4-bedroom home with a home office, a home gym, maybe make it a meditation room, a yoga room, and then all of a sudden having all that extra space doesn't seem like a negative, which it would have otherwise. And, it's going to take on a different meaning post-COVID. I want to put out just, if I might, a shameless little plug for another couple guests. Yeah. Christina Hank, a nationally acknowledged designer, interior designer. You've got to connect with her, Judy. She was on last week. And in one of the live videos, you'll see she has some great tips, both on home office and interior design tips. She doesn't do staging. She's a designer, but just how to prepare your home, ways to maximize the space. And then on the third, since I have a special guest from Curbio who's going to talk about options to have your home renovated prior to marketing without it being out of pocket up front. So we've got solutions for you.
Oh, that's great. Of course you do, because you've got all kinds of solutions. I'm really impressed with what you've been able to accomplish when so few agents could do the same. I really respect that. Really do.
What happens when an artist is locked at home with coffee, right?
It's okay. It's okay. It's all good. It's all good. I had too much coffee. I stopped the coffee at 1 o'clock.
Okay. Okay. Excellent. So absolutely, it sounds like we're seeing some of the same trends in your area. You're closer to Manhattan, but Philadelphia, the greater Philadelphia area is becoming much more attractive. It's been a trend going on for a while, but I anticipate, that, well, here's the tip. If you're selling, you need to be attractive to New York buyers because they're coming and our prices are much more reasonable, compared to what's paid in Manhattan. Not to, but there has to be value. Yeah. You can get a lot more for your money.
It's not cheap around here. Our average price in Westport right now is about 2.1.
Oh, okay.
Okay, that's the average. Okay, the median is 1.6. So, okay. But the taxes are really very reasonable. And especially compared to New York. I don't know how your taxes are there, but someone wants to be south or they want to be north. And yeah. You got south covered, I got north covered.
That's right. Absolutely. So what kind of arm twisting to get a little bit of HGTV story?
Okay. Well, first of all, so they called me years ago and they said, we are looking for a particular scenario. I need someone that's desperate to buy. And I said, okay. And I do have somebody like that. And they said, okay, great. Send me their photographs. They needed to. So first of all, and I want you to think about it now. Anytime you watch HGTV, have you ever seen the buyers like unattractive? No, because no.
It's TV.
It's television. So I sent them the picture of the buyers and they said, okay, that'll work. So what I had to do as an agent is I had to go obtain releases for all of the houses that we were going to shoot. They weren't doing it. I had to do it. So, and I don't mind, that was fine. And, I call an agent, hi, it's Judy Szablak. I'd like to, would you like to get your listing on HGTV? Really? Do I get mentioned? No, you don't. But for the rest of your life, you get to say that you got your listing on HGTV. And I had a couple of agents that just didn't want to do it, right? So, but I did manage to get a few. I got 3 that we needed. Actually, I got 2 that we needed. The house that we bought, that agent said no, no, and no. I couldn't get him to say yes. And I'm like, do you realize this is on your resume for the rest of your real estate career? And he said, I don't care. I'm not going to be mentioned. I'm not going to be in it. It's not going to happen. So what we did is we actually closed on the house. My buyers put their furniture in there, and then I showed them the house with their own stuff in there, and they used that for the filming. This is to tell you that really you see what I'm saying here?
Yes.
They did only for television and for, it was more for entertainment. So it's not reality there. Okay. That's all I can tell you. But it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun until, well, I had my microphone. This is terrible. This is funny though. I had the microphone in the back of my pants, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm walking around and I'm showing the property. I had to use the facilities and I forgot it. Leave it to me to do that. It was pretty funny. I mean, it was fine. I mean, it's not like they were filming that for everything. It was fine. But it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. Would I do it again? Yeah, I sure would do it again. Yeah, it was enjoyable. And the camera crew was really wonderful. And should you ever get a call from HGTV, I would say go ahead and do it. It's worth the experience. And the camera crew is all very professional and respectful. And it's a lot of fun.
I did get one little close call, not as a buyer agent, but my seller was approached, or I was approached about my seller's property. Of course, the buyers had already bought. They wanted to feature my listing as one of the 3 that they look at, right? Cute little home in our Bella Vista neighborhood of Philadelphia. My client's a single mom and she's selling, and she looked through the paperwork though, and she said it wasn't worth the risk because, there was you have to indemnify everyone. And, so she felt it was, so I missed my chance.
Yeah, you know what? But the other thing you had to sell, and I had to sell, like your home, you could always say your home was featured on HGTV. So, and I'm sure you did the same thing, but you got to get the right people. It's not like I said, I went through a lot. I got a lot of no's before I got the yeses. And some of the yeses I got, I would never have shown them that house. But
there you go.
I had to go with what I could get. It was fun. It was a lot of fun.
Well, listen, I know you've given us a lot of your time. Is there anything else that you want to cover before we go that you might think might help people understand what to do today and looking into the rest of the year? What are you telling your sellers, if I might say? What kind of input are you giving?
Don't force it. Don't force anything. When you're comfortable, we can go forward. We can move forward at any rate of speed that you want. Right now, it's important to look at the market as it is in your particular neighborhood, in your particular price range, because right now you might actually get a lot more money for your home than you would when everything opens up, because then you're going to have a lot of competition. So if you are comfortable to do something sooner rather than later, it's okay. And if you're not comfortable, that's okay. You got to be comfortable, and then we'll move forward. And, as our clients' advisors, we help them through whatever processes that they need to. Same thing with the buyers, whatever makes them comfortable. Never force anybody into anything. When it's right, it's right. We can give them really good advice.
That's what I treasure about you. You really, truly come from the heart, and you spare no gas, should I say? You're willing to put the pedal to the metal to take care of your clients, whatever it takes, at whatever speed works for them.
Not always 160 miles an hour. 162, 162. Okay.
Yeah, I like sports cars, but I just can't see myself. But maybe one day riding with you, I'll do that.
No, I won't take anybody over 90 miles an hour. So, okay. But I would take you at 90.
Okay.
89, I'll take you. Yeah, sure.
We'll have to make that a plan. But at any rate, please know, Judy and I are networked with realtors across the country who serve the luxury market and, of course, the local markets. If you have a local need or if you're looking for a referral, Judy just helped me find a Rhode Island agent to take care of some doctor clients of mine. He's excellent. Yes, he's absolutely. Yeah,
I'm glad.
Yeah. So please know the reason we're having these, hosting these broadcasts is to bring information, resources, and introduce people to you that you can network with either as a realtor or as a buyer or seller, or just to learn more about the market. Yeah, we're not as we're not HGTV. We're telling it to you real, what's really going on. So.
Exactly. Thank you. And I really appreciate it. Thank you for everything. Thank you.
Shall we do the cars, or do you want to do the city on the way out? Shall we go Maserati on the way out too?
Okay. I'm going to show you my video with me driving away in the Maserati.
I was looking, I couldn't find it, but anyway.
I didn't. I'll send it to you.
Okay, so we'll leave. Well, I was planning to do something else on the departure, but we got to go out fast for you, Judy.
All right, I love it. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Everybody who's watching, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Stay safe.
Thanks a lot, Susanna. Thank you.